you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
Oh, I love that sound. I'm going to have to add some new sounds, I think, for next season, which isn't that far away. Welcome to another summer edition of the PP1 podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Also brought to you by DraftKings and BetterHelp. I'll get into those a little bit later. Folks, it's the summertime. There's not a lot of Canucks going on. There's not a lot of hockey going on unless you're talking about the Ottawa Senators and their fast ice. Apparently, there's a joke there that I don't quite get. Something about Swiss waters. I don't even care. We're already talking way too much about the Senators. Welcome to the show. Feel free to chime in on the chat. Unfortunately, it looks like we're just going to be on YouTube as far as live goes because StreamYard or whoever else in their infinite wisdom decided we need you to have more followers if you want to be live on those channels. So, folks, please get on Facebook and follow us. Don't like our page. That doesn't help. I mean, it does. But follow us on PP1 Podcast on Facebook. We need 100 followers, and then we can be live on there. Twitter, I'm not spending the money, so it's not worth it. But, I'm just, hey, man, we're not for profit. So, good friend of the show is here today. It's not Ted, as you can tell. Good friend of the show.
Bradley don't have the abs or the muscles.
Man, who has the abs like him, though? Honestly.
Come on, guy.
Even with his surgery, his frontal still looks better than I'll ever look, likely. So, Brad Karp from K96.3, and I already forget the Kamloops radio station, but we're just going to talk about the Kelowna version because, quite frankly, this is a Kelowna-based show, and I don't care about Kamloops. So,
hey, K97.5 in Kamloops. Thank you.
I mean, if Logan Stankoven wants to drop by, or Joe McGinley, that's okay. Those are Kamloops people I can support.
A legendary hockey town. Niedermeyer played there.
That's yeah. I mean, there's a list.
Recchi, there's a long list there. I mean,
there's but we're again.
Kamloops,
I don't want to get into. We've already got into Kamloops and Ottawa for some reason, not even close to what we're supposed to be talking about. Brad, you've had a busy summer. I saw you in person. Would have been a month ago, I think, maybe just over a month ago for what quite possibly was one of the greatest sporting events of all time, a belt off, which if people are wondering what is that, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's taking your belt off. However, it's who can do it the quickest. Now, we weren't trying to, entice each other. We weren't trying to get a little bit frisky. It was just literally taking a belt out of the loops as fast as possible. And I didn't do so well. Brad,
okay.
Maybe you want to
relive a bit of credit. You were a fair challenger.
I mean, a close second.
Yeah, you talked a lot of smack.
Which is normal.
A lot of smack, and you couldn't back it up, which is also normal.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It was fun. You were a great competitor, and you were a great step for me in my first win in my championship march to being the world's greatest belt taker offerer. And this is just
with that glitter. I think I still have some glitter from the belt, and that's a month ago. So I had some questions asked when I came home. Hey, babe, why is there glitter on your face? That's a tough one to answer. You better have the right
not
answer.
The rippers. Yeah. Not the rippers, honey.
Yeah. So it's too early. So you're doing well. You're still undefeated in the belt off championships. Are you
2-0?
Are you gonna keep going with this? Are you gonna retire? What are you gonna do?
No, I'm gonna keep going. At this point, I'm waiting for a challenger. I feel like Mike Tyson in the early '90s. No one wants to step in the ring with me right now.
Oh boy!
So I have thoroughly demolished my competition to this point.
Yeah,
and I think everyone is a little scared. I know some people are practicing, but they're not ready to step into the ring. I'm hoping to go through the process to apply for a Guinness World Record, and after that, I can take my show on the road.
That's it's not a terrible idea. I mean, combined, you've got what, 3.5 seconds of of belting officially under your belt, if you will. I mean, that's pretty good.
Oh,
I know.
we're back.
You're back. It's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
You could hear
Did I look
everything
good
out.
frozen?
It was interesting. I was focusing on delivering the line, which I'm not sure if it got to you or not, but I was going to say you get about 3.5 seconds of belting under your belt officially.
I do. Yeah.
And that's not too shabby. So, I mean, again, it was fun to play. It was fun to. Radio stations are pretty cool, everyone. So keep radio alive. In case you're wondering, keep those bills getting paid for everybody in radio. But that was just a little bit of fun. Brad's been having some computer-ish problems, so that's okay. I'm going to keep kind of vamping until he's kind of good to go. I did want to bring out. This is actually near and dear to my heart. Good friend of the show. You've seen him on the show once or twice, I think. His rants are legendary. And speaking of legends, he's part of the BC Legends 45 Plus World Ball Hockey Championship, that the Canadian team for the World Ball Hockey Championships 45 Plus. James Rayburn, the BC team from Canada, unfortunately came up short in the gold medal game. Silver ain't too bad. As long as I've known James, he's been a diehard ball hockey guy. Play-on's coming up, I think, this weekend. That is a brutal sport, and anybody that's played ball hockey knows what they're getting into. So the fact that James got the silver medal in the Legends, World Championship, dude, guy's from, I hate bringing this up, he's from Kamloops, but, I feel like there's a trend here. But very, very James, that team is. I've seen a few of the games that they've played over the years, and the guys that have been on that team. No small feat whatsoever. So congratulations, silver medal, still pretty incredible, especially considering that you're old now. So great job, buddy. Proud to call you my friend. We're gonna have to have him back on the show. That guy has some conspiracy theories. Let me tell you.
He's conspiracy theories or others?
A little bit everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's got some hockey ones. He's his Bill Belichick plays fantasy football with the other GMs in the NFL. He's got that one. That's a good one. Because you can always tell when Belichick's like, oh, instead of sending this guy, let's just send out the third string running back to go in the score. So he's got some good theories that actually probably track, if I'm not going to lie. I do have a few cool games for you, Brad, but we're going to do that a little bit later in the show.
Okay.
I suppose we should probably talk about hockey.
We might want to do that, yeah.
It's a Canucks base show. So, big news. It's not really news, but Thatcher Demko, still no update on a timetable for his return. Sounds like we're probably going to start the season as a fan base without Thatcher Demko between the pipes for the Canucks. That could change because, these guys are freaks, but it does sound like they are looking in the goalie market for another goaltender to probably back up Shelovs to start the season. What are you hearing, Brad? What are your sources telling you?
My sources are telling me that Thatcher Demko is hurt and the Canucks are looking for a backup goaltender to help him with the Shelovs. That's what my sources are telling me. Yeah.
So we have.
I don't have any crazy big. We have the same sources. Are you also on this app? It's what's it? There's like a bird, blue, crazy rich guy owns it. Twitter? Are you on that?
Yeah,
one?
I'm there. Yeah, I'm on that one.
Yeah. That's also.
It's likely the same sources. That's pretty crazy, though. He's right. I know Rick Dollywall and a few other guys have gotten into it. There really hasn't been any news. And for a market that seems to, or used to leak out probably more news than they maybe wanted to, are they finally just like at the elite level of like keeping everything hush-hush?
The Lou Lamoriello Chamber of Secrets? No, not quite yet. I think it's just a quiet time of year, and I think if you're the Canucks, you're confident enough in Shelovs to start the season and what you might have to call up from the American League to play, a game or two to start the year, and knowing that training camp is around the corner, teams are going to be cutting guys, and you'll have a better idea of who's fitting in where in a couple weeks. And it's a backup goalie. I mean, you're looking for a third string goalie, right? And it doesn't sound like Demko's going to miss a lot of time, but he'll miss some. So you don't want to overpay. It's the middle of the summer. You can probably pick someone up dirt cheap off of the waiver wire at the start of the season. And I assume that's what they're banking on.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. You look at what the Canucks almost accomplished and where they fell short. And it was game 7. And it was a 1-goal game. And you look at who was in the pipes when it all kind of went down. So that was the most heightened version of what hockey looks like. So regular season, October, when you're playing, like I haven't even looked at the schedule yet, but I mean, you've got spaced out games. The intensity is not even close to the same. The first couple games will be, but realistically, you're going to have a team that's ready to play again after they, got as far as they did. And you've got a goalie that clearly can get the job done, at the hardest level as far as that goes. So regular season, I mean, let's get excited because who knows? Maybe he is our next goaltender if they end up, with Demko's injury, if they end up maybe moving on at some point. And I'm not saying that, but let's be realistic. These guys aren't built to play forever. So.
No, goalies, especially nowadays, are kind of like running backs, right? You have a guy, he's great for a couple of years, and then at some point they get injured, and then they're done. I mean, look at Carey Price. He was dominant. And he's a guy who lasted a lot longer than most do. He was dominant for a decade, the best goalie in the league far and away. And
totally.
He still has 4 years left on his contract, and he's not going to play again, right? Yeah. So, if you're the Canucks, you can see Thatcher Demko riding it out and being a starter for another couple of years, and then you have this guy who's going to be ready to come in. Perfect. Mm-hmm. It's best case scenario, for him to have proved himself the way he did last season. And I wouldn't even be shocked if he has a bit of a hiccup to start the year, because you come in at such a high, and then you probably have a hard time finding your feet at the beginning of the regular season when things are a bit slower and the intensity isn't quite there. And the kid must have been running on some incredible adrenaline for those 2-3 months. Like, imagine how he felt going to the rink every day and coming home after a game. His body must have just been vibrating 24/7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just like the let off after that is probably just like, okay, I have to get my heart rate down to a normal level because this is insane. Yeah. So I think we'll be okay. I do think you're right on that. I guess the nice thing is if he's kind of the next guy or the next part of this tandem, he doesn't even have that same, the panache, the kind of the marquee of the Corey Schneider, the Roberto Luongo, the Ryan Millers, he kind of comes in. We knew who he was when they drafted him and kind of the resume is starting to put together. But the guy put a pretty quick resume together and now all of a sudden fan favorite. The pink shirt doesn't hurt either. So
he's another deceptive Euro goalie, right? Like we don't give European goalies nearly enough credit, I don't think. And they come over, they take longer to develop because they're goalies, right? So you don't hear about them. They play in the American League for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden they're 26 and they're starting in the playoffs. I think Shilovs is younger than that, but you kind of understand what I'm saying. Whereas with a North American guy, you hear, okay, well, he played 3 years in the dub. He was great there. He played on the Canadian World Junior team or the American World Junior team, so you know the name.
The bar's already so high.
Yeah, no offense to the Latvians. I knew who Shilovs was because I'm a nerd and I have no life.
Yeah.
But most people didn't. And
Joe Hockey, not exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I really knew him is, this isn't, these aren't free ads, but Chris Faber and Dave Quadrelli from Canucks Conversation back in the day, like that's all you'd hear about. Like, all right, we get it. He's pretty good and we're going to see him at some point. Well, we did.
Yeah.
So, clearly listen to the guys that geek out and watch them at 2 a.m. It's, it's paid dividends for the rest of us because now we can all act like we knew what was going on too. And I'm going to include myself because, oh yeah, like he did this for Latvia. And like, did you watch those games? No, I
watched him on YouTube right before he started the first playoff game. I saw the highlights.
Yeah, that counts, right? It's like I checked in. I checked in. To kind of cut off for a second, I completely forgot about this, but you had a nice little chat with Tyler Myers last week. How'd that go?
I did. It was great. He was awesome. You live in Kelowna. These guys kind of hang around in the summer, right? Like you go to this. I was behind Braden Shen for 3 aisles at Costco a few weeks ago, and it's just one of those very oh yeah, I live in the place where all the NHL players live in the off-season moments.
8 jars of whey protein in his cart.
Yeah, exactly. There's none left after the NHLers go through the Costco.
I got vanilla, not chocolate. Come on.
Myers was great, super personable. Like I get to interview, and I interview a lot of people for my job, right? And sometimes, especially hockey players, God love them. Like I did junior A play-by-play for a long time. You just get some guys, and they are an absolute stick in the mud, and they are giving you every cliche: 4 lines, 60 minutes, pucks in deep, short shifts. Bam! Like no thanks. He was awesome, so much fun, happy to joke around. Self-deprecating, which I think Tyler Myers needs to be, considering he's Tyler Myers, God love him, and just happy to be, chatting hockey. So he was awesome, and I can very much see, I know that Canucks fans have had a difficult history with him at times.
Yeah,
last season was a lot better under Tocchet's system, but I can see why the Canucks and the Rutherfords and the Tocchet's want to keep a guy like that in the room. Like he's very friendly, very fun. You can tell that he'd be a great guy to hang around at the rink with every day, even when times are tough. Experienced guy. He's been around. He's seen a lot. Played in a few different markets. So he was awesome.
I just felt like we should probably have our names up here at some point.
We could probably do that.
I was wondering, I'm like, what is going on? How come we don't see anybody's name up there? So apologies. This is Brad. Now you know.
Now you know. Should have worn my name tag.
Well, I was just going to say, make sure you have maybe a relevant hoodie of, a brand that exists in 2024 with like the grainy camera you're complaining about.
I went H&M.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that exists. This has got to be a new show. Yeah. This has to be a no-show. Yeah, I caught the end of that, but folks, make sure I'll make sure I'm sharing that when it gets posted. I guess you kind of have some editing and stuff. But what I did hear of the interview was really funny. So, I mean, Tyler Myers, it's like he's our guy. So whether we're making fun of him or not, and he's doing the same thing, like he's our dude. It's kind of the same when we had Kessler and Burroughs. Like, they were super pests, but they were ours. So, if we were going to yell at them, it's because we're yelling at them. If anyone else did it, we're all going to gang beat those guys. So
yeah, it's like your weird younger brother, right? In a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he was good. Asked him about breaking Leon Draisaitl's ribs and if he apologized, and he said no. I don't think I should have. So he was good. There was some pretty funny.
I think he caught it, and he's like, well, he still kept going, so it couldn't have been that bad. So
yeah, exactly. Should have broke a few more.
Exactly. That's right. So God bless you, Tyler Myers. We're ready for a new season of you at a smaller cap hit. So speaking of smaller cap hits, and I really wish Ted was a little bit healthier to be on the show for this comment, but I'm going to run with it. Is this the season where we get to see that Filip Hronek is an absolute steal? Is this going to be the season where we finally know what he's been all about, as far as, because he's had his time as a Canuck now, a full season and a little bit, and now we get a full training camp. We know what his post-mortem was after the season, and how he kind of just, that's just kind of how he is, and everybody kind of realized, like, oh, maybe we kind of like this guy. Yeah. Are we going to get like an epic season out of Hronek this year, now that he's signed?
I don't know if you need an epic season out of him to justify his salary. Mm-hmm. I think Hronek, obviously he was
maybe hurt. Not to justify the salary. I'm just saying, like, are we going to get that big season that we're waiting for?
I think clearly there's something up with him in the playoffs. He can say there wasn't, and
right.
That's obviously a lie, and it's okay for him to say there's no excuses, and that's the cliched hockey player answer. But I think at the salary he's making, if he allows Quinn Hughes to have the stability that Quinn Hughes needs to have a Norris Trophy season, then I think that he's worth every penny, and anything you get above that is money in the bank. And it's tough for a guy like him, who I think could have more offensive upside and has a little more to show. But when you're playing with a guy like Quinn Hughes, you give Quinn Hughes the puck. Why would you? Sure, you're capable, but I mean, look at this guy. He's a generational defenseman. So let him take it, right?
Yeah, totally.
if Hughes gets hurt, knock on wood, he doesn't, then I think you'll certainly see him being more than capable of stepping up and producing more and showing a little bit more flash. But I think for him, it's just, a bit of a repeat of what he did during the regular season last year. I mean, he was great, and he allowed Quinn Hughes to fly and do his thing.
Yeah. Do you think, obviously they've shaken up the defense after the playoff last year, and, losing Big Z isn't great, but I mean, you can't also afford that, adding Desharnais, and, they kind of did add a little bit more on the back end. Like, I guess I was kind of looking, I'm thinking, okay, he's probably going to be asked to be a little bit more of a presence, I guess. Not that he wasn't last year, but, sometimes where, like your role has to improve, and it has nothing to do with money, but just his playmaking ability and what he can bring. Like, hey, we're going to need you to maybe shoot the puck a little bit more, as opposed to, playmaking a little bit, like maybe try to hybrid that a little bit more than he did last season. Because I think he's capable of it. And, the more they continue to assume Quinn Hughes is going to do something, I think that's the kind of thing that you'd want Hronek to basically expose at that point. So,
yeah, I think the focus on Hughes will open up options and opportunities for Hronek to take advantage of. And I think he has the skill set to do it. And, you mentioned the loss of Big Z. There's certainly a bit more of a hole on the defense now than there was last year, right? I think, it's obvious that they might be shopping for one come deadline time, and that's fine. Every team has their hole in a cap world. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see him and Hughes playing a little more. I don't know how many more minutes Quinn Hughes could play. I feel like 30 minutes is enough, but
that's
he seems to be in pretty good shape.
Let's not max you out so early this year. And
but
I think
there's
that was
more
too, because they played too much, right? Like they did. They played a ton at the end of the season, which, the guys just got worn out.
Yeah, and I think that Desharnais is a capable defenseman. I think him and Myers will kind of platoon on that right side. I don't mind Carson Soucy. I think the Canucks have options. It'll have to be a whole lot more by this year. And you hope you have that strong goaltending. And I think you hope that the system that Tocchet coaches, which is, being a bit more responsible defensively. It's not as much of a tire fire in the defensive zone as it used to be. That helps the defense, right? It takes some of the pressure off. And, another year under him, another year of guys maturing in their own game should certainly help. Like, I love the Jake DeBrusk ad. I think that's a guy who's going to be a nice quality middle six difference maker for Vancouver, who can play both ends of the ice. You don't play in Boston without learning how to play 200-foot hockey. So, yeah,
I'm excited I think it's just exciting to know that Elias Pettersson finally has a guy to play with, and not finally, but kind of.
Finally,
I mean, he has had options, but they've been taken away from him. So, which is fine. I mean, we're seeing pairs of Besser and Miller, and I think you hear more and more about these duos more so than a trio of lines. So yeah, it would be kind of nice to have two pairs that are actually working. And I think once we get into training camp and preseason, we're going to see a little. I mean, not so much preseason, but definitely in training camp where you're going to get excited to start seeing some guys gel together, hopefully, or start seeing some fun plays. Maybe they get a little creative just to get the juices going. So I mean, DeBrusk, I think, is they had to do something, and I'm glad that they picked up a guy that, well, clearly likes to be here.
And a guy that is going to do exactly what Pettersson needs his line mate to do, which is go get the puck.
Yeah.
Go get this guy the puck. Petey is not a corner guy. He can be. He's stronger than we all imagine and expect him to be. The way he's able to stand people up on the ice. But I think, Hughes is DeBrusk's strength is Pettersson's weakness in a way, and I think they'll complement each other really well. I think the real question, Ryan, is which hairstyle do we get from Elias Pettersson this year? Do we get gorgeous blonde-haired European model, or do we get straight out of prison, maybe has a shank tattoo?
Wouldn't that be something if you had a teardrop?
Yeah, a teardrop.
Like, that's not even funny. Oh, okay.
It's funny.
It's funny. You know what? I would love. I mean, he seems like he's going to go down the trail of like the classic Swedish player where eventually he's bald by the end of this whole thing. So he's probably going to go the a la Kiwi look, but maybe a tat. I mean, I could see Petey having like a tat at some point or like a sleeve. I think that would give him some street cred. We'd all have to. And then the Canucks can start selling those fake tattoo sleeves in the store of the same one. I mean, you're printing money at that point, but that would be my guess. Sleeveys,
yeah, Petey Sleeveys selling for charity.
Writes itself.
You're welcome, Aquilini.
Yeah. Before we get into our next thing, which is training camp, friend of the show, Glassy. What's Brad's thoughts on the BC? Yeah, he's been on our show too. What's your thoughts on the BCHL, Alberta Junior Hockey League integration?
Oh man, juicy. Oh God, Ryan, there is no drama like Junior A hockey drama.
Oh, I know. The fights are the best too.
The fights are great. Small towns where there's nothing else to do, and that is like the lifeblood of the community. It's so good. Yeah. I think it's obvious that the BCHL has made a product and a development pathway that is the best in the country for Canadian players that want to go play college. I think that's obvious, judging by how many players from all of the other leagues are signing in BC. I think those 5 AJHL teams that made the jump are the 5 strongest in Alberta and 5 of the strongest in the country. And I think they're doing what they need to do to A, keep their players from hopping ship to BC, and B, putting a better product on the ice for their fans. So I think it's really unique. I think it's great that the BCHL has done this. It can all come crashing down should this major junior NCAA agreement happen, but give the BCHL credit for trying to do what's right for the player. Because, up until they kind of stepped away from Hockey Canada, if you were a top tier AAA Canadian hockey player and you wanted to go play college hockey in the States and you didn't want to go major junior, your dream was, I'm going to go play for the University of Michigan. Awesome. Right. What a great program. Like, what an incredible opportunity. You had to go play in the States. Basically, you had to go to the USHL. And all of the top young kids were leaving 15, 16 down to the States to go play in the USHL, to go play NCAA. And now they have an option where they can come play in the BCHL, stay in Canada at least until they're 20, and go down to the States when they're a bit more mature and they've had the opportunity to play at least in their own country.
It's like they say, bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. Yeah,
and it's played out well. Like the attendance last year was up, I think 10%, and they play most of their games. 95% of the games are Friday, Saturday now, so you don't get the Wednesday night, dressed like a seat nights anymore.
And I think that's the sell too. I mean, it's the major junior schedule is tailored a little bit more towards an NHL style as well. But at the same time, I mean, we've got Rocket season tickets, or our family does anyway. And I mean, we have pretty decent tickets. We're behind the net, about 10 rows up, so we see them shoot twice. They're phenomenal seats. I've seen some incredible goals there. But we've also, through our company, had club seats, and again, great seats as well. But on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, like, we couldn't give them away. And I'm talking like these are prime seats sometimes it's a great game and you can't even give them away until after Christmas, which that's tough. So the Friday Saturday thing really makes a lot of sense because you can maximize on your product and the guys are still getting their games. And that's why I think the college schedule is so cool too, right? Yeah. Because everything's kind of based on the weekend. I mean, you're getting just like college football and everything else. You're getting excited on the weekends. You got something to build up for. You get the whole week for, rivalry week and all that kind of stuff. It's a big deal. I think it's too bad that, major junior can't adopt a little bit more of that, and maybe they'll try at some point. But I like what the BCHL's done, and I mean, it's bold, but it has. It's worked, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, sports don't last forever, so you got to have a job at the end of the day, and you might as well go get a good schooling behind it, and have something to back yourself on if you don't happen to be in the 1% that makes the pros.
Yeah, like it's a great opportunity. Yeah, well, and I mean, my goals against average as a minor league goalie was 7, so clearly I didn't make it.
I wasn't even in the league. I kept track. That's awesome. I realized that there was a few comments here that were pre added from Grant on here. Would love some thoughts on the new center ice logo and the fact it's Orca. Yeah, I got some thoughts on that. The fear level of pods becoming a factor down the road. Probably not. And what items are forever in Canucks lore? Man, Grant, we're already halfway down the show, man. That seems like a whole show in itself. But I'm gonna attack a few of these because, quite frankly, that's a phenomenal question. Let's go with what we all talk about because we don't have any lives anyway. The new center ice logo. The Panthers also got a new logo. It looks like the inside of the bowl of the Stanley Cup, and then the logo, which I think is brilliant.
That's cool. That's smart.
More teams need to do that. I saw them like, you guys are incredible. Good job. Yeah. The Canucks one, I think it is a nice change of pace that there's actually a fill in there, and I think there was another team that did that, and it's a good idea. I mean, really, we're talking about the paint on the ice, and the only people that care are the ones. I mean, we really shouldn't.
Can you tell? Can you tell it's August 28th?
Exactly. Let's timestamp this. Yeah. What part of the year were we talking about the paint on the ice? Like, how come they?
It looks good.
What about the virtual ads? Let's get into that. No, great question though, Grant, because I think it does look cool. I think it gives. Apparently, the rest of the NHL Twitter accounts think it's pretty cool too. So, I do think that they got something right. That being said, they didn't commit to the skate logo, so I think we're still.
I know.
We're still a ways from that. As soon as I saw the Orca, I'm like, well, that solves it.
Yeah.
Here we go again. So whatever.
I don't understand why they won't go all in on it. Just think of the merch money they'll make when they finally pull the trigger instead.
And it's gonna happen. Oh, Brad just crapped out for whatever reason. It's absolutely going to happen. At some point, they're going to get the skate logo back. It's nice that they've added it as an updated third, but I was just saying it's nice that they've added the skate as an updated third.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's gonna happen. They're gonna get that logo back. You've seen countless teams go back to their retro look, and the Canucks are like they're sitting on the $1 million, and they just got to get off their butt and find it. So it's there. It's gonna happen.
Aquilini's the worst capitalist I've ever seen in my life. Like, do you want to make money, guy? What? Do you want to make some money, Frankie Aquavelva?
Yeah.
What are you doing hanging on to the skate logo?
A hotel and a casino. We should change the logo, guys.
Build the hotel and casino with the skate logo.
Yeah, we're gonna gut part of the arena, have a catwalk to this hotel and casino. We're gonna have all these cool new activations. What about the skate logo? Let's just pump the brakes a second here, guys. We don't want to make too much money. Isn't the entire
And it's the easiest thing. It's that like they're dreaming up these real estate developments, which are awesome and they increase the value of the franchise, and I get it. And it'll be great for fans. It'll be great for Canucks fans like us who travel into the city to watch a game and want to spend the night. You can just catwalk it over, in the middle of February, so you're not getting hit in the rain hit in the face with rain. But out of all of the things they could do to make money, this is the easiest. Just hit the print button on the computer, and you are printing money, and it's over.
You know what? Maybe he's tried that though, and you and I both know this because we've been around long enough. How many times have you run into a printer problem where you're trying to hit and you're like, why doesn't it connect? It just worked yesterday. So maybe he's ran out of ink. Like it's incredible that they'd recreate the logo. And actually it took me a little bit, but I really do like it. And I love how when they come out, like everybody's geeked up on it, even the scoreboard overlay and all that, like they go all out for that look. And yet they just don't want to accept that that's what it needs to be. Like there's an opportunity here to go full on. And I mean, how many people are going to adopt that as like their second favorite team just based off of going back to that alone? Like every opposing fan base knows that the skate is the end result here. And they've got it wrong so far. I don't know.
Is there a big anniversary coming up?
They're just
like a 50 or a...
They just had 50.
Right.
It's like
okay.
2 seasons ago.
Maybe they're waiting for that, but Yeah,
well, they
I
did
don't- I
even
don't-
had special patches. I've got it downstairs here somewhere. It's actually, oh no, that's the Stanley Cup one. It's the 50 in the black skate logo. Like they did it.
Right. Yeah, it makes no sense to me why they're waiting. I wonder if they think it's too simple, but simple's good. All of the best logos in sport. I could see the Canucks and the way they think and the way sports organizations operate and marketing people being like, it needs to be flashier. It needs to be more. The Orca is an awesome logo. It's super cool. So is the Johnny Canuck one. And the Orca is so synonymous with Vancouver. I wonder if they think that moving from the Orca, which is so like Pacific Northwest, so Vancouver, to the skate, which is so generic, to hockey, if they lose a bit of something there. But I don't think that's the case for anyone that is a Canucks fan. I think you look at that logo and you think that is the best, and that is sick, and it's so slick and sleek and easy and minimalist, which is kind of what you want.
Here's the thing. The Toronto Blue Jays back in 2015, I want to say 2014, 2015. No, it was before that. It was 2012, I think. They went back to an updated version of their vintage kind of look, the 90s look. Back in my Jersey City days, that was a great day in December when they launched that, because we were about to cash in for months worth of new product. Yes, most of it was Brett Laurie stuff at the time, but we're gonna get over that. We're gonna get over those
the sleeves and the glasses.
Yeah, exactly. So but that logo, the hat, I mean, to this day is still one of the best logos and combos in baseball. The Canucks have that same opportunity to go back, and we don't have to keep going on this because it's such an obvious. It's like gaslighting Canucks fans. Like, hey, skate logo, they should keep it away from. No, you're gonna get punched out.
I'm gonna email Aquilini tomorrow and ask him why he hates making money.
Yeah, it's like, well, if we just talk about blueberries for a second, that'll get him fired up. Yikes. Pod Colson, no longer a Vancouver Canuck. I think it's not going to burn the Canucks. It either was going to happen or it wasn't. And for once, they actually just moved on from a guy before it became drama. And I think that's kind of cool, because there wasn't any drama on it, but we were starting to wonder, like, what's going to be the plan for Pod Colson? Is this going to be a thing or not? Is he a first round bust? I mean, he was slated to potentially go top 3 only because the Russian factor came in, and I think everybody kind of balked at that. So the Canucks took a chance. I think it was a great pick. I think we all agreed that they got a steal at 10, but it didn't pan out. Guess what? That happens. Thankfully, he wasn't picked 3rd, and let's say we were the Canucks and got him at that point. Then we'd look like huge idiots. So, yeah, I think the Pod Colson thing, they gave it an opportunity to happen, and they were able to finally actually send him down to develop, which is what worked for Höglander. And I think it probably will benefit him. It just isn't going to happen in Vancouver. And if it ends up biting them in the butt, then it does. And that's sports. But I mean, it wasn't looking like Pods was going to be a first line winger that was going to be, a bruiser and that was going to put up 40 goals. It didn't happen.
I'll make it 2 guarantees. Number 1, the first time they play the Oilers, he scores against the Canucks.
Oh, 100%.
That's naturally written in the stars.
I think that's just how it works. It's just in the script.
And 2, I don't think they'll regret this. Even if he does go on to become, a 20, 30 goal scorer, let's say he gets that high.
But when?
Even 20, but when, right? Every coach has a guy that they just hate. And Rick Tocchet did not like Pod Colson. For whatever reason, every coach has, like, if you've played sports at a decent or competitive enough level, that guy, you were that guy, you were buddies with that guy, and no one understood why, but there was just always that one guy the coach hated. And that's the way it is. And that was Pod Colson for the Canucks. And clearly, if you have to pick between Rick Tocchet and Vasily Pod Colson, you're going with Rick Tocchet. At this point, right? If it were Rick Tocchet and Quinn Hughes, that one's a little more obvious the other way. But these two were not meshing. Tocchet did not like him.
Are you kidding
me? What's that?
I said I'd keep talking. Quinn Hughes is too quiet.
He wasn't going to get him the ice time that he needed to develop. So you stick with the coach that you believe can bring you a cup, and you move on from the prospect, and you hope he does well, and he probably will in Edmonton. We'll give him, that's Reclamation City West. Montreal is Reclamation City East. He'll get every opportunity to succeed in Edmonton, and I think and I hope he does well. But I don't think this will come back to bite Vancouver in the ass, because it just was not going to work under this head coach in the city.
No, the line
why try and force? Yeah, why try and force square peg into round hole?
Exactly. Grant's got another one. I'm going to get on that on another episode, because I do have some fun stuff planned. Training camp is coming up in a couple weeks. Obviously, so is Young Stars. Are you going to be covering any of that down there? I'm going to try to get down September. I hate saying it. It feels like the worst thing to say as a Canucks fan, but for us, sports in our household starts to get stupid at middle of September. And my fandom kind of has to take a back seat until that season actually starts. So I'd like to go, but are you going down as a fan or as a media member?
We'll be going down as a fan. I think Saturday or Sunday, not entirely sure which day yet, but I will be going down for one at the very least. Okay.
It's a good time. I mean,
I've never been, so I'm looking forward to it.
I haven't been to Young Stars, but I have been to training camp when it was in Vernon many moons ago in 2004. Sedin's second year, Naslin, Bertuzzi, Linden, Brad May. Oh,
the golden years.
I'm going to turn off the camera for a second, because getting a little up in the fields here. It's a good time. It's great for the young fans, even some of the ones that just don't have access to your favorite team. Unless you're going to Vancouver and you can only see them through the glass, you can chat with these guys, and not necessarily super easy, but there's access. I know they've made it more of a fan focus the last probably 20 years, I guess. So it's cool that Penticton gets it, rightfully so. It'd be awesome to have it in Kelowna one day. I think it'd be fun to have it in the big city as far as the Okanagan is concerned. But good for Penticton. Lots of great places to hang out there. My boy Dan's out there, so if I can get out, definitely want to hang out with Dan Meckles. He's calling the Okanagan his home now. But pretty exciting. I would like to be out there. Hey, if I could see you out there as well, it's always a good time. We always have a good time together. It's
we do. We'll take our belts off. Not like that, but
But in the way we know. Yeah. It's always weird when we bring it up that way, but pretty exciting. I think it's always neat to see, see the Canucks kind of up close and personal, and see what's building in this team. Speaking of building, the thing that you definitely want to talk about. Now, there's two different rankings in this, and I only looked at one of them because I don't have the Athletic anymore. The Canucks have the 28th, I believe, best prospect pool according to the Athletic, whereas Daily Faceoff has them 20. In my words, regardless, ungood. My question to you, and then we can get into some of the prospects, which is not my strong point, as everybody knows. Do you think that they sacrifice the immediate future to basically fix a lot of the wrong that's been done in the organization? Do you think they're just trying to get what they can, get back to par, and then start being that premier team again?
I think so. I think there was an opportunity to blow things up before Tocchet came in. And I think I was looking at the team and saying, you might have to bite the bullet here and try this thing from the ground up again a little bit, right? Not totally, because you have your star forward, star defenseman, and all-star goalie, but a lot of the surrounding pieces, I thought, okay, it might be time to let some of these go and try something else. But Rutherford has come in and done a great job stabilizing and adding. It hasn't cost them a ton. They still have some really great prospects. I think Willander's a great prospect. I think Mackey's a great prospect. Aturatu's a great prospect. So, and you look at Shiwas, and that's another great goaltending prospect. So they have guys coming down the pipe. They have sacrificed, but when you're in that position where you have a franchise forward, a potential generational defenseman, and a franchise goalie, you kind of got to lean into it.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, hopefully we're going to see one of, the Willanders, the DPD, the Karamaki. Hopefully one of those guys becomes, a regular player on this roster within the next season or two. But I mean, prospects are always so tough because you can have a ton of them and you're just constantly developing guys. I think they would like to probably have a few more than they do. And again, speaking to the last management group, it would have been nice to have a few more. But looking at this team, they've been able to maybe focus on the pro scouting a little bit more, where they can actually think like, okay, well, now if we're here, we weren't here even a year ago when things got really good. So now what do we do? Do we continue to buy into this? Hey, maybe we need to move a few draft picks and we have some cap space at the deadline to actually, make a splash? Or do we continue to, slowly build for the next couple of years so we can make our big splash and actually be a championship caliber team, maybe 2 years when everybody's ready to go? I feel like I might be cutting out.
I think. No, you're good. I think you clear the deck and you fire away as soon as you can at this point. I mean, everyone's in their prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pedersen is right in the opening of his prime. Hughes is obviously in his prime. Hronik's in his prime. Thatcher Demko, when he's healthy, is very much in his prime. Miller's in his prime. All of these guys are in their prime, so you just take as many shots at the can as you can at this point, if you're the Vancouver Canucks, in my opinion. And you don't wait for guys to mature and develop. You do whatever you have to do to, try and win a Stanley Cup in the next 6 years, because that's your window.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole point in drafting and developing is to get them to the NHL. And if you have those guys, and I know that doesn't always work, but if you do have those guys, they're in that position where it randomly worked out in a spot where nobody was expecting it. And here they are. They actually have a shot to do some damage. And if they had the right pieces on the pro side already, you can afford to maybe stew around and kind of leave things simmer on the AHL team for a bit, because the guys on the pro team actually did enough damage where you got to ask yourself, like, well, what does one more win get us? Does one more win actually get us 2 rounds? Does it get us one more round? What does that all mean? Do we add one more, stud defenseman? Do we need one more winger or one more, key fourth line guy? And this team all of a sudden becomes a juggernaut. What is it? Or what are those magic pieces? Or is it the draft and develop, like a lot of the teams, you kind of have to do when you break things down? They're not in a position to break it down anymore. They kind of skipped a step, unfortunately. And now you have to figure out what to do with the step that you're at now.
I'll disagree with you on one thing. I don't think the point of drafting is to draft and develop guys to play in the NHL. I think it's to draft assets that will turn your team into a Stanley Cup winner, whether they play on your team or you flip them for someone that brings your team a cup, right? I mean, and that's the way that all the GMs look at this is we're not drafting to develop a guy. We're drafting a guy so that we have a strong asset that either helps us or helps us acquire a piece that brings us a Stanley Cup, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So if you're Vancouver, you're looking at all these guys and you hope they turn out really well and you hope you draft well and develop well. But ultimately, those players that are not tradable are so few and far between that you're willing to trade anyone, right? At any point. So, and they're certainly in that window now where they're whatever asset you have that can get you something that brings you closer to a Stanley Cup in the next couple of years, you flip it, even if, they turn out to be an all-star player somewhere else 5 or 6 years down the line. But if you win a Stanley Cup, it's all worth it.
It is about the ring and the ring alone and lifting that trophy. So yeah, I'm fine with it. I've said, I think most people would agree if you could have a Stanley Cup or a championship of whatever team you cheer for, that's worth at least 10 years of whatever after that, because you finally won. Unless, you cheer for like the Patriots or, the Oilers of the 80s or the Islanders, all those teams are like, oh yeah, we get it. We haven't won in 2 years. Like, great. Good for you. Or the Lakers or any of those. Like, I don't know what that's like. The only championship teams I've ever cheered for are the BC Lions and the Blue Jays. So one of them mattered a lot. And back in the day, the Lions one was kind of cool. But I mean, I also went to watch Todd Bertuzzi play for the Panthers right after the Grey Cup. So what does that tell you? So it's, Anyway, my priorities were still slightly in the Canucks direction. Yeah, I don't really cheer for championship teams, so it's kind of sucky for me. So I kind of need this, like most of us do.
You'll trade it for 20 years of misery, right? Because most fan bases will get 20 years of misery anyways. Like look at Toronto.
Exactly. Exactly. You keep thinking, we're there, and there's still nothing to show for it.
San Jose, I mean, those teams they had in the 2000s, God, they were some of the best teams in NHL history. Some of those teams were incredible. And
yet you knew they weren't going to win.
And they just could never get it done, right? So you never know. You never know.
Well, I got a couple fun things to finish up here. I'm going to add some cool background sound because I don't think I have that sound in here. We're going to play a little game, and hopefully this, I think Ted wanted to get going on this season, so maybe this will be our new fun thing that we do. First, I'm gonna warm you up with an easy one, and by easy I mean it's just one guess, maybe a couple guess. Let's see where this goes. It's called the name game. So my warm up question for you, Brad. And by now I've already added a ticking clock sound. Which all-time Canuck goaltender ranks 10th in save percentage with a minimum of 40 games played?
NHL history or Canucks history?
It'll be Canucks history.
10th in save percentage with at least 40 games played?
That's right.
Oh man.
And I've got it pulled up here. My computer's being a little glitchy. No, it's not Dan Cluche.
Okay. I'm gonna get none of these right.
I just got to make sure I get back to where my computer was like glitching around for a second. So I got to find it and what his say. Here we go. So I'm ready. I'll give you one more guess and then I'll tell you.
Corey Schneider?
No, he's like close to the top. It's like third, I think. But you're close. This guy played 46 games for the Vancouver Canucks, had a goals against of 257 and a 902 save percentage. The Scud Missile himself, Peter Skudra.
Ooh.
Yeah. We don't celebrate. We celebrate 13th all time. It's 10th.
I like that we celebrate mediocrity on this podcast.
Oh, that's what this whole team's about, man.
Hey, Ryan, who's the 4,942nd goal scorer all time in NHL history?
Jason Jaffrey, probably.
Nailed it. Ding, ding, ding.
I honestly, if that was the truth, we're shutting the show down. We're shutting the show down. Now, this is going to be a little bit more fun one. I'm going to close that window because it's doing too much thinking. This is going to be another fun one. And now, we've never really discussed what your overall fandom is of the Vancouver Canucks. I know you've chatted about them, but like now you're more of an East guy. So you're a Leafs guy though, I think, right?
Oh God, no. Oh no.
No, weren't you? Or no, were you Winnipeg?
No, Montreal. Born and raised in Montreal.
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I doing?
Terribly insulted that he said that about me.
Well, it's a lot more fun. People are going to enjoy me that I just saw you right in front of my face.
Whew.
Sorry, I apologize.
Might have to get off this podcast now. But I'm a Canucks fan. I want them to do well. You know, you always, again, in radio, you move around a lot. You always kind of want the team of the area that you live in to do well because people are happier. It's fun that way. Except for Toronto. If I lived in Toronto, I'd still want all the Leafs fans to be miserable, angry pieces of crap because that's what they deserve. I would like the Canucks to do well.
You will find no opposition on that comment here.
Yeah, no, of course.
That's something that I believe. Now, am I going stopwatch or timer? We're going to do, it's a 30-second timer. I'm going to also pretend that there's a clock sounding. So this is going to be a fun one. We're going to try to carry this through the season. Hopefully it goes well. Okay. Now, I don't know what your knowledge of Canucks players is.
No.
I'm going to be thrilled if you nail even like 5 of these, but it makes me feel good. So also part of the name game. Should I give you a minute? I'm going to give you a minute because 30 seconds feels.
A minute to what? What am I don't know. A minute feels like a long time to wither in the ether. not
It's
knowing
gonna
anything
be
here.
so much
flapping in
fun.
the
The
wind.
ums and the ahs. This is what. So,
A minute's a long time. I hope you know that.
well, if it sucks at 30 seconds, I'll call it. So,
All right.
name as many current or former Canucks starting with the letter C. Their last name starting with the letter C. I'm gonna start it in 3,
Oh,
2, 1.
oh, I said Dan Cloutier already. So
You
that's
got one.
fun.
Ding!
Oh man, why would you do that to me?
I don't know, because I am a glutton for punishment. I mean, this doesn't pose well for our show either. So
Yeah.
you got okay, so you're there. You got
all right.
one.
I'm on the board.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's one.
I think Edmonton Oilers.
Jalen Chatfield.
That counts. Not the one I was going for.
Didn't Anson Carter play for the Canucks?
That's 3.
At one
Yeah.
point?
LA King. LA King.
Oh, you're messing me up here. I know because I heard him talking about it on Overdrive. Frank Corrado played a bit.
Yeah,
Wasn't he drafted by the Canucks? Yeah. This is painful.
This is good. This is really good.
How many are there in total?
Oh, time's up, Brad. You got 4. There's actually a lot. It seems that the letter C was well represented. So a few that you may remember: Mark Crawford, Murray Craven, everyone's fan favorite Joseph Cramarosa. We've got Jeff the Brawberryan Cowan, Russ and Jeff Courtnall.
Both Cardinals. How did I forget both Cardinals?
I don't know. You should have at least gotten one, considering about the Habs thing. Everyone seems to remember Patrick Klum. We've got Matt Cook. We've got Brandon Convery. Oh man, Ian Cole. Come on now.
Did I not say Ian Cole?
No. Clendenning, Enrico Ciccone, Artem Chubarov, Mark Schwannard. We got Alex Shays.
All right, we get it. There's enough. Yeah, we don't need to roll through all 75 Canucks players.
Jimmy Carson was the one.
With a C.
Jimmy Carson was the one I was trying to give you.
Okay.
So that was fun. It was good. We've got a few different versions of that, and this was the dry run. It's summer. It's preseason.
It was dry. Yeah, it was dry for sure.
It was dry. Yeah.
It was a dry run.
It was. This was Traeger dry. Yeah. No free ads. Although, hey, we're here. We're here. Don't mind me. That was good. I'm glad you were the first test subject for that, Brad. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm as glad as you are, but I'm glad.
Well, it made me feel good inside. I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, if you're gonna beat me in a belt off, which also sounds terrible, I'm glad that I was able to, inflict a little bit of pain. Or
your fluff for any day.
Yeah, that's true. I'll still end up losing in the belt off. So, anything big planned for you, sir? I know you got a returning gig this year with the West Kelowna Warriors.
Yeah, excited for that. We were talking a little BCHL before, but the Warriors have a brand new video scoreboard that they got this year. It is huge. It's not a big rink to begin with, so it looks like an absolute monstrosity in the rink. Center ice clears are going to be a little bit dangerous this year because that thing is hovering maybe 25 feet.
Kind of like when Tampa got theirs, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's aggressive. So excited for that. They've been running a great program. Obviously, Penticton is kind of cream of the crop, and they have been for a long time, but West Kelowna keeps trying to give them a run for their money. And they've been doing really well the last few years. New ownership group has come in the last few years also. The games are affordable. If you're in the Kelowna area, games are I think it's $15-16 for an adult. Great night of entertainment out. Quality hockey. A lot of these guys are drafted or will be drafted. So a great night of entertainment just across the bridge in West Kelowna. If you want to see some BCHL hockey, I think beer's only $5 or $6 too.
And if you live in Kelowna, as you all know, we all complain about the bridge. So maybe leave a little early, grab an extra pint, maybe a burger on the west side, and watch hockey game, come home. I mean, I would complain too. So maybe that's what I need to do. So that's pretty cool.
Bridge traffic isn't bad once the tourists are gone in the middle of winter. There is no bridge traffic in February unless someone is spun out. So
That's true. So yeah, on February the 12th, probably don't listen to this podcast. So
Yeah.
because it likely happened on that day. That'd be pretty cool if it did happen, just for keeping this show relevant, I guess. So that's cool, man.
I'll put it in the calendar. I'll make the spin out happen on February 12th. I'll be the guy doing it.
Just to wow, those
prove us
guys
right.
They predicted the future. That's awesome. Appreciate you coming on the show. I know you got work tomorrow as well, and it's I appreciate you radio guys coming on, because 8:30 is we're getting into the late time. So I appreciate you coming by. Always a good time to have you on, Brad. Any final words to our listener base?
Thank you for putting up with me. If you haven't already stopped listening 59 minutes and 30 seconds ago, it's great.
Most people stopped listening already long ago.
Thanks.
So it's fine.
Thanks to Ryan Hank for having me on. Look forward to what should be an exciting season of Canucks hockey, and hopefully they do well. Although I'm a little concerned, Tyler Myers told me he felt slow. So, I mean, not that that's abnormal for Tyler Myers.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, he did tell me that. He was
nothing a training camp can't fix.
Well,
maybe not. That's true. Thank you, everybody, to coming by on the show. Glassy, thanks for running up the comments. Appreciate it, buddy. Kelly O'Brien's is coming to Chilliwack. Tell Karp to stop in. That's probably the only reason most people are going to stop in Chilliwack, is because there's now a Kelly O'Brien's. So
I like stopping in Chilliwack because it smells so nice. That's my reason to stop there.
You just want to bag that up and just cherish it. I try to speed through Chilliwack, so I don't even mind getting a ticket to be worth it. So on behalf of Brad Karp from local radio station K96.3, a Kelowna radio station, we're going to get rid of the Kamloops one for a second here. I'm Ryan Hank. This is the PP1 podcast. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. I know you're paying bills too. On the Hockey Podcast Network, brought to you by DraftKings and BetterHelp. Guys, it's almost Canucks season. I cannot wait. Ted, we love you. Miss you, buddy. Peace out.